Hey guys, welcome back to another Lord of the Rings Family Guy sticker mashup video. This is going to be video number 4 in the series. I just had these delivered today, so I'm going to take you through the video process and then we will open these at the end of the video. So make sure you stay tuned. So the first thing that I do is the initial sketch. In this case, the initial sketch is actually the orange line work you can see on screen. So I actually don't record this because for me this is the longest part. This takes me absolutely ages to get right. So I start recording this just when I'm doing the clean line art, the neater line art over the top. So you can differentiate between the two because you can see one is black line art. And again, the orange one below is my sketch. So it's not quite as clean or neat. You can probably tell this is sped up massively. And for those of you who do work with line art, you know the process. There's a lot of undoing each line and redoing it until you get it much neater. So that's why you can see a lot of flickering on screen of each line. That's me trying to get it right and perfect it the best I can. Those of you who are fans of Family Guy will obviously, or hopefully, recognise this character. This is Herbert, or Herbert the Pervert, I think he's known as. And the mashup I am doing him as from The Lord of the Rings is, of course, Gandalf. I thought this one was pretty cool, actually. I had a lot of fun with it, and it wasn't too detailed on the clothing, which you will see when I get to the colours. So the first bit of footage I showed was just me zoomed in, working on the face, and now I'm just showing a little bit more working on some of the clothing or the bodywork. And I will skip forward a little bit now, because the process here is just creating my neat line work until I'm happy with it. So moving on to this second step here, this is laying in the flat colours. So to the left of the image, you can actually see the colour palette that I've already picked off camera. I've picked a mid-tone and then I've used some shadows and some highlights. This step really is just about laying in a flat colour to begin with. It's not worrying too much about shadows or anything like that. That will be the third and final step. With this being a cartoon, especially in a Family Guy style, there isn't generally much in terms of shadows anyway. But for now, I'm just creating the flat colours on individual layers in Photoshop. And what this means is that once I've blocked these in, I could go in quite easily and change the colours and edit them without it ruining other layers. So for example, I might be able to change the colour of his beard whilst not changing the colour of his skin. So it's pretty good if you decide that you've done it the wrong colour or you want it to be darker or lighter. As you can see, I'm using Photoshop for this. I use Photoshop CS6, but I forgot to mention during the line art stage, I actually took this illustration into Manga Studio or Clip Studio Paint, it's also known as. And compared to some of the other ones so far, Herbert or Gandalf didn't actually have much in terms of colours on him because, as you probably already know, Gandalf wears pretty much all grey. I did nearly go with a blue hat like he has in the books, but it didn't look as good on this one. Obviously, I have simplified everything as well, like his staff. I was tempted to go into more detail, but with the Family Guy style being quite basic, it just didn't work too well. This next step here is me going in with the lighter and darker tones of each colour. So that's to create shadows and highlights. So because I am zoomed out a little bit, it's not quite as obvious on camera, but I'm trying to keep the shading or the darker tones to the bottom left of the screen and highlights more to the top right. And I do this on pretty much every layer that I've created so far. So this is just another way in which having each item of clothing on its own layer can be beneficial, because it means I can work on each item without overlapping onto another item, such as his belt, for example. But yeah, because there isn't too much of a different colour and design on his outfit on this one, it wasn't too difficult to get right. I do go back and neaten this up a lot off camera because when I actually zoomed in, I had missed loads of fine details. I don't think they would have showed up on the print, but I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, so I had to get them right. But I didn't want to zoom in and out constantly on the video because when it's sped up as much as this, it's not as easy to watch. As you can tell, I'm sticking in Photoshop for the shading layers. The amount of layers I end up having down the right hand side is a little bit of a pain, I'm not going to lie. Some people like to work like this, but each to their own. I played around with a few other ideas as well, like having a light on the staff, but I decided to stick with this in the end. So I also do things like neatening up the sword and adding a bit of a metallic shine to it and things like that off camera. It doesn't quite fit in with the flat colour styles of the rest of him, but I made the exception for weapons on all the stickers so far, and it's working pretty well. So let's take a look at the finished product. Okay, so I've got the order here. Let's get straight into this and take a look how they've turned out. And in case I forgot to mention, I had these made at Stickerapp.com to match my other ones. Okay, so we've got our free sticker there. A lovely Christmas one. I've seen this posted on their Instagram. That's pretty cool. So I'm just going to tuck into this so that we can see it properly. So I'm going to hold this up to the camera. I'm going to move it around a little bit because of the lighting. These are on a glossy finish, so because of the lighting you can't always see them clearly from certain angles. Hold him a little bit closer, in fact. So I actually think that's pretty cool. It's turned out quite nicely. So I'm just holding all of my stickers up to the camera now so that you can see how they all look size-wise and in comparison to one another. I'm really pleased with these. As I mentioned, I've had these done glossy. I kind of wish I would have started them in matte as opposed to gloss. But I can always reprint them in the future, and for now I feel like I'm going to stick with gloss so that they all match. I've got a few more characters in mind of who to do from Family Guy as which Lord of the Rings character, but there are still a few that I'm not 100% on at the moment. So I'd love to hear any suggestions that you guys have got who you think should be who. Just leave me a comment below, let me know. I'll put some links in the description box below in case you want to get hold of any of these stickers. As always, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit that thumbs up button and make sure you subscribe for more content. Thanks for watching, everyone.